Okay, so you've ever felt like maybe you're missing this secret handshake when people start talking about bilingual education?
Yeah, I can see that.
There's all these terms, right? Like dual language immersion and biliteracy, and then all of a sudden there's just this alphabet soup of acronyms. And it's like,
Hmm.
what are we even talking about?
Right.
But good news is you brought the right stack of papers
Yeah.
because today we're going to do a deep dive into bilingual education,
Yes, we are.
specifically in Texas.
Absolutely.
I've got an expert here with me to decode it all.
I'm happy to be here.
So to kick things off, I'm looking at this ESL Domain III document,
Okay.
and I'm immediately struck by all of the acronyms.
Yeah.
ARD, BICS, CLP, like,
It's a lot.
yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
So let's just start there. What are these, and why are they so important?
Well, they're important because they're these like little shortcuts to understanding these different pieces of bilingual education. Like ARD stands for admission review and dismissal. And that's the process that they use to see if a student qualifies for like special ed or specialized support.
Which can be really important in a bilingual setting.
Exactly.
Now, BICS and CLOP seem to be more related to how we learn languages.
Absolutely.
Can you unpack those for us?
BICS is basic interpersonal communication skills, and that's like everyday language,
Okay.
saying hi to someone, asking for directions.
Ordering a taco.
Exactly, the stuff that you pick up really quickly when you're immersed.
Yeah, it's like when you travel.
Yes.
And you can have a basic conversation after a few weeks, even if you don't understand everything perfectly.
Exactly.
So then there's CLOP.
CLLP.
What is that?
Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. This is where things get tough.
Okay.
CLLP is the language that you need to thrive academically.
Ooh, I see.
To read textbooks, to write essays, to understand lectures, all of that.
It's like the difference between chatting with your neighbor and presenting research
Absolutely.
at a conference.
It takes so much more time,
Right.
exposure to develop.
That's a really important distinction
Yeah.
for how these bilingual programs are designed.
Absolutely.
So speaking of programs, this document talks about two main types of programs in Texas, one-way and two-way dual language immersion.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
So the main difference is who the students are in the program.
Okay.
So one way focuses on students who are identified as emergent bilinguals.
Meaning they're still developing their English skills.
Exactly.
Got it.
The goal is for them to become fluent in both English and another language.
So it says here that at least half of the instruction is delivered in the student's native language.
At least.
Why is that so important?
It's about building a foundation,
Okay.
Research shows that developing strong literacy skills in your first language can actually make it easier to learn a second one.
Wow. So you're not trying to replace their native language. You're trying to use it as like a springboard
Exactly.
to learn English.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. What about two-way?
Two-way.
How's that different?
So in two-way, you have emergent bilingual students learning alongside native English speakers.
Oh, wow.
And the goal is to create a truly bilingual environment where everyone benefits from the exposure to both languages.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I can imagine that being such a cool classroom environment
Yeah.
with all the students learning from each other about different cultures.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just language acquisition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are studies that show that dual language programs can have positive impacts on cognitive development, problem-solving skills, even their future career prospects.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty sharp
Mm-hmm.
to navigate two languages.
Right.
It's like a whole different way of thinking.
Totally. And that leads us to like a key concept in bilingual education.
Which is
Literacy.
literacy.
It's not just about speaking two languages.
Yeah.
It's about being able to read and write effectively in both.
So I've heard people say that focusing on two languages can hold students back, especially when it comes to mastering English.
Oh, yeah. It's a common concern.
Is there any truth to that?
Research shows that bilingual students actually catch up to their monolingual peers
Oh, wow.
and often surpass them in other areas.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's no academic disadvantage in the long run?
Not at all.
Wow. Okay, so we've busted some myths here.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot about how these programs work.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious about the student experience, though.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges and rewards for students in these programs?
I think one challenge can be feeling like you're constantly playing catch-up,
Yeah,
especially in the early stages.
I could imagine.
Imagine trying to keep up in a classroom where everyone seems to understand the language faster than you.
Right.
That can be frustrating.
For sure.
But the rewards.
Yeah, what are the rewards?
They're immense.
What makes it all worthwhile?
Imagine that sense of accomplishment when you can seamlessly communicate in two languages,
Oh, yeah.
access different cultures, broaden your horizons. It opens up a whole world of opportunities.
It's like having a superpower.
It-
Speaking of opportunities, it says here that both one-way and two-way programs require teachers to be certified in bilingual education.
Yes.
That sounds like a pretty specialized field.
Oh, absolutely. It requires a deep knowledge of language acquisition, cultural sensitivity, specialized teaching strategies. It's not just about translating lessons.
Right.
It's about creating a learning environment where all students can thrive.
So as we wrap up, I'm struck by how much more there is to bilingual education than I initially thought.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning a second language. It's about fostering cognitive development, cultural understanding, and really preparing students for a globalized world.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's an investment in our children's future.
Yeah,
The benefits extend far beyond the classroom.
absolutely. So after this deep dive, I'm left with one question. If you could design the ideal bilingual education program, what would it look like?
That is a good question.
It's something to think about
Yeah.
as we continue to explore this topic.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
I can't wait.